Had an emergency message last night. Tyson, what is the difference between the bar and rings muscle up? Help! A valid question, and I'm here to help explain. While they have the similarity of going from below to above the rings, what are the key focus points for each movement? And we're gonna start with the bar muscle up. The two things that separate this from a rings muscle up is the power needed and the timing needed. We need to pull explosively. If you're not familiar with how to define power, it is using your strength, but using it fast. The timing factor of a bar muscle up is when I swing out, I have this box set up well above the ground and it's a little bit behind the bar. What I'm gonna do is I'm not taking a big step back, I'm simply stepping off and giving myself a light swing. Putting it all together, I'm looking to use that power at the right time. If I swing out and I start pulling too early, it throws off what my upper body is doing to the lower body, completely ruins the rhythm of the movement. If I wait too long and go to pull, keep in mind both of these are the right amount of power. It also is just not the right pathway to get to the top. Even with that strength, I'm too far from the bar because I waited too long to take advantage of that pull. Now, if I use the exact same power at the right time, muscle up is there. It's happening at a faster pace than what you would expect to on the rings. And the skill aspect is knowing when to apply the pull. For others, you might have a very high pull, but you might be doing it very slow. So if my timing is perfect, but my pull is too slow, I heavily exaggerated that. You can see I missed the window. What the timing allows is for when I pull, I'm nice and close and pulling into the bar so that it makes physical, logical sense for me to turn that pull into a push and get the shoulders over. Power and timing is your key to a bar muscle up. On the rings, there's actually three things we're gonna look at. There is the mobility side of rings. So let me just get these out of the way. Oh my God. Get out the way. We're looking at strength, mobility, and we're looking at false grip. For rings, the false grip is the most common variation. So what is that false grip? This part of my wrist is getting up and on top of the ring, and unless you have ridiculous strength, you would not be able to achieve that muscle up without the false grip using pure strength. You would be able to do it if you kipped, but not if it's just reliant on strength. So false grip is paramount. That is a technical feature of the rings muscle up that cannot be looked over. So if you can't do that, you need to learn that. If I don't have a false grip and I try to do my muscle up, see how my wrist is stuck behind? I would literally need to be able to do a triceps extension of my full body weight to be able to overcome that. Getting the wrist up and on top, I can get to that point up here and be able to turn over to get up. It seems like if you've not done it before, such a small detail, but it matters so much in getting the right leverage for the move. Second one is looking from a mobility point of view. The bar is in the way of my muscle up. So you need to figure out how to get around it. With rings, there is nothing in the way here. So if you have quite mobile shoulders, it will actually serve you better on the rings because you don't have to work around something and you can almost lean into your advantages because it means you'll be able to get that turnover so long as your pull is strong enough at a much lower point. So say I had very tight shoulders and I'm not using momentum, I might have to get up this high on the rings before I can get over because I don't have the range to sit down into that point there. As a caveat to this, when I teach muscle up on rings, I do try to tell them to envision a bar running through the bottom of the rings and they're trying to pull their shoulder up and over that bar and on the way down, back and around that bar to prevent actually pulling straight through or sinking directly down. It actually is a disadvantage to try and pull purely vertical. You want to try and go a little bit in the transition back and forth. That will serve you better. But that is beside the point of the rings being a much more advantageous choice if you have great shoulder mobility. If I have quite tight shoulders, even if I can pull to here, if my shoulder mobility isn't there for the turnover, I'm not going to be able to get through when I go to do it. Last one is the strength. The rings is an expression of strength a lot of the time, and any degree of kipping or swinging to do your rings muscle up is not the end goal. The end goal is to show your rings muscle up as an expression of pure strength, which means moving slow and controlled through the whole movement, demonstrating your upper body strength at every step as you go. You need strength in that top position to hold here. When you're doing it on the bar, you need the power to explode. You don't necessarily need to be able to hold that top position. Of course, that would serve you very well if you could, but it's more about accelerating through the movement. Whereas here, we actually need to be able to hold every step of the way if we're looking to show a completed rings muscle up. So that means pulling up to here, and this is a strong position that I can turn over and press out of. If I'm able to pull up to that point with power, but I don't have the strength to hold that top position, I drop, I sink, and that would mean I'd need to use a bit of momentum to get my first reps. Using momentum for your first reps is certainly okay, but your end goal with a ring muscle up is that smooth strength laid down. There's certainly like limb lengths, height, weight, those things working for and against you. From personal experience, rings muscle ups seem more doable for females because of the shoulder mobility and the chest being physically in the way sometimes, trying to do the pull on the bar because there is the physical object getting in your way. But to be fair, like, it's the same way though if you're heavy or you're light or you're tall or you're short. It's good to know those things, but you really should just move towards what skill motivates you to train. So there are some differences, but move towards what you want and you'll be sweet because you'll enjoy training that much more. Don't forget guys, programs on the website combining calisthenics and weightlifting, and any extra questions, leave them in the comments down below. We have the strength aspect and we have the technical aspect. Let me check my notes. Don't film this bit. Don't be a dick.